Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about how to choose a healthy hamster. Whether you're getting your hamster from a rescue centre or from a breeder or from a pet shop, it is really important that you choose a healthy one. Health is more than just physical appearance, it's also behaviour and the habitat that the animal is living in. So I am going to be covering all aspects of health to ensure that you are picking the healthiest hamster you can. So let's begin with physical appearance. When you look at a hamster, it shouldn't look too fat, but it shouldn't look too skinny either. You shouldn't be able to see its rib cage or its backbone, but it shouldn't be so large that it looks misshapen and, well, fat. Your hamster should look slender and healthy. Now, when it comes to long-haired Syrians, it can be a little tricky to tell if they're underweight or not, since all of that fur and all of that fluff does tend to make them look a little bigger than they are. So if possible, try and have a feel of the hamster if it is a long-haired one to see if you can feel the bones. You should be able to feel them, but they shouldn't feel sharp and they shouldn't feel like they're really protruding out of the hamster's skin. The next thing to check for are dry or bald patches on the hamster. If you notice any patches that haven't got fur in them, or any patches, especially around the ears and the face, that look dry or flaky or red, then this hamster is not healthy and it does need to see a vet because there's something not quite right about it. Now, keep in mind that with Syrian hamsters, they do have bald patches on both hips, and you'll see a large black dot on each side, on each hip. These are their scent glands. These are perfectly normal. They don't normally have fur around them. It does look a bit weird if you've never seen them before, but if you do see those, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with that hamster. The bottom end of the hamster around the anus and genitals is also something you should check. Lots of people forget to do this before they get a hamster, but this can be a real telltale sign for something being wrong. This area should look nice and dry and fluffy and like the rest of the hamster, but if you notice any blood, any discharge, any kind of gooey liquid, or of course any feces that is stuck to the fur, then again this is not a healthy hamster and it does need to be checked out by a vet. Moving on to the eyes, these should be clear and bright. They should be free of any discharge or goo or gunk, and they certainly shouldn't be sealed closed. That is an obvious sign of eye infection. The eyeballs themselves should not have any kind of milky look to them. They shouldn't look white or hazy, and they shouldn't have any white or hazy circles inside them either. Now keep in mind that hamsters can have red eyes or pink eyes, and this is perfectly normal, so if you do see a red-eyed or pink-eyed hamster, that's nothing to worry about. Hamsters don't often get too many problems with their ears, but they are still worth checking. So make sure their ears again look clean and clear, no discharge, no gooey stuff coming out of them, no blood. And again, make sure there's no dry skin or scabbing or redness around the backs of the ears. You also want to make sure that your hamster's hearing is good and that they're responsive to you. And you can do that simply by clicking your fingers at them or making a little squeaking sound. Like that. Their ears should flick a little bit, that's all that is needed to make sure that your hamster does have the ability to hear you. That's very important. You probably won't get an opportunity to look at the teeth of an untamed hamster, but if you somehow do, you should be able to see their 4 front incisors. That's 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. They should be a kind of yellowy colour, sometimes they're orange. They shouldn't be white. White teeth are often a sign of lacking in some nutrition, something wrong with their diet, so look out for that. People don't usually spot it. They also shouldn't have any broken or missing teeth. That's really important to look out for. Now, breathing. This is of course a very important one, but especially as hamsters are quite prone to getting many different respiratory problems, especially when they're housed on the wrong substrate, which, let's be honest, in most pet shops they are. You shouldn't really notice the hamster's breathing unless you're actually looking for it. You shouldn't see them heaving up and down or in and out. You shouldn't hear anything. There should be no wheezing, no squeaking, no clicking, none of that. You should be able to look just below the rib cage and just see their breath going in and out, very light, very rhythmic, and no sounds. Now let's get on to behaviour, because this is just as important and can tell you a lot about that hamster's current state of health. Now the 3 C's to remember when looking at any hamster is confidence, curiosity, and calmness. The hamster should have enough confidence that your presence around the cage shouldn't startle them, it shouldn't freak them out, shouldn't send them flying to the nearest hideaway to get away from you. It might make them go, I'm not really sure of this, and that's fair enough because they are unsure of you, but it shouldn't completely freak them out. The hamster should also display a healthy amount of curiosity. Curious hamsters tend to be much easier to tame, so if you put your hand against the glass or the bars, whatever they have on their cage, if you put your hand against it, they should seem like they want to come and see what's going on. They should be curious about what you are, and they might take a few steps towards you and then decide, no, I'm backing off, I don't like this. But it's just those few steps that's important. If you put your hand on or near the cage and the hamster immediately bolts away and goes to hide and doesn't come back out again, then this is something you want to be a little wary of, because these hamsters are often harder to tame and they're more likely to be nippy as well, because they tend to be more scared of you. So if you're someone who's not super confident about taming a very shy hamster, then this is not going to be a hamster that's right for you. And of course, calmness. Again, this relates back to them not shooting off as soon as they see you, and also not being aggressive towards you. Some hamsters may look like they're trying to attack you through the cage, some may get really, really aggressive. This is very uncommon, but some are like that, so watch out for that. You really don't want to be picking an aggressive hamster if this is your first, or if you're not very confident with aggressive hamsters, so keep an eye out for their behaviour. When you see the hamster wandering around its cage, it shouldn't look lethargic or tired, it should look quite alert and awake. It shouldn't look like it's dragging itself along, like it really can't be bothered to move. This is usually a sign that something is wrong in the health department. The hamster also shouldn't be limping, they shouldn't have a head tilt, which literally looks like they're just holding their head on one side as if it's too heavy for them. And they also shouldn't be displaying any repetitive behaviours like running in circles or backflipping, as these are usually signs that there's some neurological damage. One more behavioural thing to look out for, and this applies specifically to when you're choosing a dwarf hamster pair. The pair you're choosing should be interacting really well together. They shouldn't be aggressive towards each other, they shouldn't be chasing, they shouldn't be nipping, they shouldn't be squeaking at each other. They should be very friendly and very confident around each other and work together as a team. Now, if you're picking these hamsters when they're asleep and you're not able to observe their behaviour together, usually dwarf hamster pairs that get along will sleep together. So if you choose two hamsters that are snuggled up together, you've got a better chance of them getting on. And finally, onto the topic of habitat, because this really does have an effect on the hamster's health and overall well-being. If the hamster lives in a dirty or overcrowded habitat, they are much more likely to be experiencing high levels of stress. And as animals that are prone to many stress-related illnesses, high levels of stress weaken their immune systems and make them more likely to get sick. So don't choose a hamster from a cage that seems very dirty or that is overcrowded. Don't forget to check the health of the other hamsters in that cage, not just the hamster you're looking at. If your hamster looks healthy but it's living in a cage with a hamster that looks sick, there's a good chance that your hamster could still catch whatever that one has and get sick once you've brought it home. So if there are any sick looking hamsters in that cage, don't pick any of the hamsters from it. It just is not worth the risk. And finally, make sure that all of the hamsters in that cage are the same sex and not mixed sex. You don't want males and females living together, especially if you are picking a female hamster, because in all likelihood you're going to bring that female home and within 3 weeks it's going to have a litter of hamsters that you won't know what to do with. Check with a staff member which cage is for males, which cage is for females, and if they say they don't know or they tell you that all the hamsters live together, don't buy from there. Go get your hamster somewhere else because it isn't worth the risk. And when in doubt, pick a male hamster. That way there's no risk of them ever coming home pregnant. And there we go, those are my tips for picking out a healthy hamster. I really do hope this video has been helpful to you, and if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. You can also share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye! We interrupt this recording to bring you my dinner. Look at the size of that plate. How big does he think I am? Nice though.